Hello, my friend. Listen. The first lesson of initiation is almost always wrong. We grow up believing that somewhere out there is a final locked room, a classified archive, a forbidden grimoire, a hidden cabal, or a redacted intelligence file that, if we could only find it and pry it open, would sufficiently and suddenly explain everything to us. We like to imagine that the world is held together by secrets. But if we're paying attention, we begin to notice something even more strange. The deepest patterns are rarely hidden because someone concealed them. They're hidden because they've become ordinary. What I mean is, they disappear into institutions, habits, incentives, myths, financial systems, algorithms, and inherited assumptions until they become indistinguishable from reality itself. The scandal isn't the story. The scandal is where the story briefly leaks through the cracks. And here's the deal. Every civilization eventually manufactures its own monsters. The names change, the costumes change, the technology changes, but the pattern remains stubbornly familiar. Wealth accumulates beyond accountability. Power becomes insulated from consequence. Human beings become abstractions to those who benefit from distance. Figures like Jimmy Savile or Jeffrey Epstein horrify us, and rightly so. But if we're paying attention, they're not merely villains. They're diagnostic instruments. What I mean by that is that they expose ecosystems of complicity, prestige, appetite, cowardice, and institutional self-preservation. The occultist who spends all day hunting these monsters while ignoring the conditions that breed them is studying mold instead of asking why the house is wet and everybody's getting sick. So let's get a little uncomfortable here. Chaos magic was never really about sigils, not fundamentally. It's about discovering that belief itself is programmable, that identity itself is editable, that symbols behave more like software than decoration. Carl Jung understood it when he warned that whatever remains unconscious will direct your life while convincing you that it's fate, right? What we resist will persist until we do the work. The old grimoires understood it when they described archons and parasites and wandering intelligences. Different languages, yeah, but it's the same revelation working. If you refuse to meet your own shadow, your shadow will eventually start writing public policy. So if we're paying attention, the truly frightening realization is that magic never stops working. It simply changes clothes. Advertising is sigilcraft with venture capital. Branding is ceremonial invocation repeated until it bypasses reason. Political campaigns are mass rituals. Financial markets, they survive because millions of people participate in a consensual hallucination every morning before they have their coffee. Every notification on your phone is an invocation. Every logo seeks devotion. Every algorithm competes for possession of your attention. So the war has never merely been over land or oil or resources or elections. The war, my friend, has always been over consciousness itself. And here's where it gets terrifying. Most people want to imagine that the elite possess secret knowledge and they're hiding it from you, right? I suspect that what the elite really possess is a sophisticated understanding of human predictability. They know how easy outrage can be harvested, how easily desire can be redirected, or fear monetized, or loneliness engineered, or identity packaged into consumer preference. And they understand that a distracted populace is easier to govern than an oppressed one. The greatest occult technology in history might not be the magic circle or the crystal ball. It may be the infinite scroll. So what do we do? Well, first we can stop confusing collapse with redemption. The fall of one order doesn't guarantee the birth of a better one. Compost feeds weeds just as readily as forests. If the myths holding together this civilization fall, they'll simply be replaced by other myths. The only real question is whether or not we're willing to participate consciously in creating them. Whether we choose beauty over spectacle, or discipline over distraction, fellowship over tribalism, or curiosity over certainty. Whether or not we'll become the authors of meaning instead of the consumers of narrative. Because here's a secret that I keep returning to. You're already participating and practicing and trafficking in magic. Every habit is a ritual. Every repeated thought is an incantation. Every relationship is an invocation. Every single story that you tell yourself about who you are becomes another brick in the architecture of your reality. So if we're paying attention, we'll understand that the great work was never hidden in an Egyptian tomb or buried beneath a Masonic temple somewhere. It's always been unfolding in the ordinary decisions that shape a human life. But that, my friends, is also why I remain hopeful. Empires collapse. Institutions decay. Illusions fail. They always have. But your consciousness, that remains strangely fertile. So the task isn't to decode every hidden conspiracy or expose every invisible hand. The task is to become so psychologically integrated, so symbolically literate, and so impossible to hypnotize that when the old world finally finishes burning, you, my friend, will already be carrying the first blueprints for the next one.